Hello, everybody. Hope you guys are having a good day here. We're trying to get a little bit better at this. So we're going to call this show This Just In. I think that's what we're just going to do with it. We have some stuff to talk about, y'all. Katie Proudfoot decided to make a response. If you haven't heard about it, then you're about to. And if you have heard about it, then we're going to talk about it. But before we get into this, I'm going to do some shameless self-promotion because we are trying to grow these communities. We are streaming on TikTok while we're doing this. We're also obviously here on YouTube where you guys are watching. First thing, for those of y'all who do not know, I have a podcast. It's called 50 Words for Murder. Pretty much everything I'm about to show y'all, in fact, everything I'm about to show y'all can be found at my website, justinontiktok.com, which is scrolling across the bottom there. So when I first started this podcast, it was once a month. Now I'm taking these interviews because, look, I know that not everybody can sit down and watch a 2-hour interview, hour and a half interview, whatever it is. So we're taking that audio and we're putting it on a podcast. I'm converting it over. So if you're in the car, you're on the go, you can listen to it. Definitely go there. The link in my bio will take you, or link in my link, justontiktok.com. Sorry, old habits die hard. Will take you to Spotify, but it is available everywhere else that, you can listen to podcasts. Next up, as a lot of y'all might have heard, if not, you haven't, I wrote this book. It is out. It is called Boundaries. It is a children's book, which I know is very weird when you're talking about true crime, that, hey, we write children's books as well, whatever. It is what it is. But if you are part of the 26% of millennials and Gen Z that are no contact with a family member, this is the only resource that exists, which is why I wrote it, to help you navigate that complex discussion with your kids as to why you're no contact or limited contact with a family member. And then also goes into teach them the importance of boundaries, which gives your children confidence to speak up, tell people no, when they need to, autonomy, bodily autonomy, etc. This is available, again, at the website, justontiktok.com, or you can get it on the TikTok shop. Now, the next one, and then I promise we'll get into it, is this. I also have this book coming out, the soft cover. I talked to my publisher yesterday. The soft cover should be in my hand the week of April 22nd. Hard covers will be a little bit later than that. If you'd like to order this one, you have to pre-order this one. Surprises are okay, secrets are not, which, title's kind of self-explanatory there, right? Teaches your kids that, hey, you shouldn't be keeping secrets, particularly from adults. This is available for pre-order on my website, and it will ship to you as soon as we go out. All copies, whether you get it from TikTok or my website. As long as they go through either one of those, I will do a signed copy. And if you want something personalized after you order it, shoot me a message via email, Justin's, JUSTINS, on TikTok at gmail.com, and I can personalize the one that you wrote. So if you want it to your kids or your family or whatever. So make sure to also, since I'm growing my YouTube, smash that follow button. If you haven't already, become a member of this community. If you are watching this on TikTok, make sure to hit that follow button as well. So without further ado, let me pull this up. This right here was posted by Katie Proudfoot. Well, let me phrase this. This was posted to Katie Proudfoot's account on Facebook. Okay? I don't know if Katie wrote it. I don't know if Chris wrote it. Let's read it. Let's just talk about it. This came out right after we did the interview, pretty much, I think, yesterday, that we did with Seth, where Seth dropped some knowledge on us, dropped some bombs on us, all that kind of stuff. This is if you didn't watch the Seth interview, some of this might not make sense. And if you didn't watch it, then shame on you. Seriously, I'm not trying to shame you. Go watch it because everything that he said in that interview needs to be heard. Okay. So first is what she said. That child was not 13, and we did not allow my son to be abused. We contacted all authorities. My son received all available help he could get. Multiple therapists involved. His doctor did know because he went to the doctor and got checked immediately. Seth was involved in his therapy as well. There are so many lies in the story, including him failing to mention where Seth got banned from the base for his violent tendencies, where at the time my son was seeing psychiatrists and psychologists to help him with his trauma from Seth's abuse and the trauma from being assaulted by this child. Let me be clear. I think this is sickening that this man is airing my son's trauma online. My son deserves better than that. When we find him, and I believe in my heart we will, the truth will come out. He is doing his best to slander us as parents, but my son is loved and cared about and always will be. Public opinion based on lies, assumptions, half-truth is rampant, because of things like this, which has nothing to do with finding Sebastian. I will not stoop so low as to partake in the back and forth argument with him. God knows the truth, and the truth always comes out. Please stop the badness and focus on finding Sebastian, because that's the most important thing. Okay? That's the most important thing. All right? And I agree. I agree with that last statement. There's a lot in this to break down. There's a lot in this to break down. So let's just, let's get into it. The first line. This child was not 13, and we did not allow my son to be abused. We contacted all authorities. That right there is her confirming that the abuse that Seth mentioned is accurate. She's confirming it right there. Okay? Talked about receiving all the therapies. Seth was involved. Good. I'm glad Seth was involved in the therapies. Now, she doesn't give a timeline as to when that happened, but that's not whatever. Whatever. Okay? Too many lies in the story, including him failing to mention where Seth got banned from the base for his violent tendencies, where at the time my son was seeing a psychiatrist and psychologist to help him with his trauma from Seth's abuse and the trauma of him being assaulted by this child. Now, I can't speak to what Seth did or did not do. Seth shared his truth. He shared his story. And I'm going to be biased here. I'm not necessarily supposed to be biased, but I'm going to be biased and say that I believe Seth. And the reason that I believe Seth is because if you go back and listen to what Nina Gomez, Chris's fourth ex-wife, had said, and you listen to what has been accused against Seth Rogers, those are very much written in the same font. And I said that yesterday. And I said that on the live with Seth, that they're very similar. But let's just say this. And this is just me being nitpicky here. I get it. It's me being nitpicky. Fine. Why are you putting the abuse that Seth gave over the sexual abuse, the sexual assault? It's like Seth did this, but also this happened. Okay? I don't know. At the same time, and I'll get into it, I believe that Seth revealing the sexual assault is relevant to this case, and I'll get to that in a minute why. Whereas I don't think what she's referring to about Seth, violent tendencies, banned from base, et cetera, which, obviously that's what she's saying. I don't have that confirmed. If it is confirmed, then I would talk about it. And I don't have that confirmed. If we get that confirmed, then I'll let y'all know. But that does not have to do with what's going on here. That has nothing to do with finding Sebastian. That has nothing to do with why Sebastian might have left. Okay? At least that's my opinion. You can disagree with me respectfully. Disagree with me. I'm okay with that. You can always disagree with me as long as you do it respectfully. I'm fine with that. Let me be clear. I think this is sickening that this man is airing my son's trauma online. My son, I'm going to stop there. Again, I think it's relevant, and I will get into that in a minute. What I think is sickening is a mom that's not searching for her kid. What I think is sickening is a mom who leaves the state. What I think is sickening is a mom who sits there and allows her husband on national TV, in interviews on social media, to make fun of and mock her special needs son and flex on the abuse that he gave to her, or that her husband put on that son, the physical abuse. So what we're saying here is think about this. Sebastian's 15 years old. He's special needs. He's got autism. He's got chromosome deletion. He has been sexually abused. He has been physically abused. He's been emotionally abused. And those, by the way, my friends, are the scars that you cannot see. Okay? You're not going to see it. So he's been abused in every different way. My son deserves better than that. Yeah, I agree with her too. Her son deserves better than somebody who doesn't search for them. Somebody who goes on vacation, lives life like they never existed. Yeah, Sebastian deserves better than that. I agree with that part. She didn't say that, but that's what I'm saying. When we find him, and I believe in my heart we will, you're not looking, so I don't know how you're going to find him unless you already know where he is. Again, I'm breaking this down. I'm putting my bias on this, guys. The truth will come out. He's doing his best to slander us as parents, but my son is loved and cared for and always will be. Public opinion is based on lies. Okay. Public opinion is based on lies, assumptions, and half-truths rampant because of things like this, which has nothing to do with finding Sebastian. All right, there is a lot there in that one. And we can break this down, guys. He's doing his best to slander his parent. No, he's doing the best he can to find his kid, and he's tired of being the only one trying to do it. He's tired of having zero support system. It's a man who was trying to kill himself. I like Seth. I have talked to him. I believe him. You know, if 25% of what he said in that interview is true, that is still more than enough. But at the end of the day, he is the only one out there looking. And public opinion is not based on what Seth says. Public opinion is based on the fact that you are not searching. Public opinion is based on the fact that you took the missing child sign that you had for your child off your car. You're going out to eat with family, celebrating like you do as if he wasn't there. That's what public opinion is being based on. Now, if you were out there, if Chris was out there searching, like the thing is, we want to believe her. We want to feel that, you know, she's a mom who's lost her kid, and we want to try to help her and try to find her. But she does not make that easy, y'all. She does not make that easy to like her, right? Because she's not doing anything. Actions speak louder than words. And this is the first time she's ever come out to defend her child or to talk about her child. She could have taken this post and the same energy that she put behind this post right here, and she could have put that towards finding Sebastian, saying something about Sebastian, putting effort towards looking for him. You know? But she hasn't. That's what public opinion is based off of. And you want people to believe your half-truths or anything that you say, go search for your kid. Have a husband who, in the same interview, doesn't show himself as a liar in the same interview. With Nancy Grace, he couldn't even keep his story straight in the one interview, not to mention the others he's contradicted himself on. He contradicts himself in less than an hour on Nancy Grace. Why do you think we believe Seth? Seth has been transparent with us. I know that not everybody does, and that's fine. You're going to believe what you're going to believe. There are going to be people who are going to stand the Proudfoots, and fine. You want to stand the Proudfoots? Fine. I feel like that's projection. There's something wrong with you if you want to do that. Go for it. I don't care. It doesn't affect me. But what I see is that I see a father that's broken, killing himself, looking for his kid, and nobody offering any assistance other than volunteers. Definitely not anybody else in his family. She will not stoop so low as to partake in a back and forth argument with him. God knows the truth, and the truth always comes out. Please stop the madness and focus on finding Sebastian, because that's the most important thing. The only thing that she said is, let's focus on finding Sebastian. That's the most important thing. I think we can all agree with that. We can all get behind that statement. But here's my question for y'all. Again, TikTok's watching, YouTube's watching. Here's my question for y'all. Who wrote this statement? Who do y'all think wrote this statement? And I'm not like trying to because originally, I'm going to tell y'all right now, originally, I thought that this was Katie, but I've had a lot of people point out to me that they feel like Seth wrote this statement. So, you know, do y'all think Chris wrote this and put it under Katie's name? Or do you think Katie wrote it? I'm going to tell you right now, I'm looking at both screens, and there's not been one person that has said, not one person has said Katie. So, take that for what it's worth. Y'all, it's frustrating. I said not Seth. I meant Chris. Sorry. Yes, I meant Chris. If I said Seth, that's a retraction. Seth did not write that. Chris or Katie. Anyways, this is very frustrating to me for a lot of reasons. I think it's frustrating to y'all for a lot of reasons. The audacity that comes with something like this, to write something like this when you haven't been out once, to, despite what you've said, hand out flyers. You haven't even done that. But you can write this. You can attack the only person looking. The person who's angry with y'all because y'all have not done anything to look for your kid. And it's frustrating. It's super frustrating. For anybody who hasn't seen that interview with Seth, it is on my YouTube. You should watch the whole thing. It's even when people wanted a recap, I was like, you can't really do a recap of that. You need to see his raw emotion. You need to see what he says. You need to see his truth in every word. And the thing is, recapping it or paraphrasing it does not do it the justice that it deserves. He took the gloves. He started to take the gloves off on that interview, and it was raw and vulnerable and passionate. And I think we saw a real side of Seth that we haven't seen before. So it's frustrating. She's not doing anything to help find her kid. I'm not going to beat this horse to death. I'm not. But it's just frustrating. Right? It's just frustrating. Now, I want to show y'all something else. We're going to switch out because when I do this type of show, this just in, I want to talk about a few other things too. And there are some other things that are going on in the world that y'all should be aware of. And so I'm going to show y'all some of those right now. If you haven't seen this yet, let me show you this, guys. Okay, let me see if I can make that a little bit bigger. I guess I can't. Well, if you could kind of read that, let me do this. There we go. There we go. Diddy is in trouble again, but at least this time it's not entirely his fault. Diddy's son, Christian Combs, known as King, is facing sexual assault accusations in a lawsuit that was filed by a woman named Grace. I think it's Marseille or Marseille. And she alleges that the assault occurred in late December of 2022 on a yacht that was chartered by Diddy's family, the Combs family. And this was days before the New Year's Eve party that Diddy threw. Again, this is going to involve Diddy, y'all. Give it a second. The lawsuit implicates both Christian, King, Combs, and Diddy, holding Diddy liable for premises liability because he's the one who rented the yacht, and also aiding and abetting his son. Christian is being accused of sexual assault, sexual harassment, and causing emotional distress in this lawsuit that was named against him. He's also named in a previous lawsuit. I mean, guys, it is like father, like son with these guys. But he was also named in a previous lawsuit filed by Rodney, who's Little Rod Jones, which is a producer on Diddy's album, who accused him of drugging and assaulting a woman. In the recent lawsuit, the Grace Marseille, I'm not sure how to say it pronounced. Sorry if I'm for butchering that. Claims that Christian pressured her to drink a spiked tequila, then groped her extensively, and Little Rod allegedly witnessed the assault and recorded parts of the incident where she could be heard telling Combs to stop. It's recorded. It's on tape. Christian then allegedly attempted to force her into performing, because I'm on TikTok, I have to be careful how I say this, in YouTube, oral, and assaulted her in the yacht's cinema before they were interrupted. She's claiming significant mental health deterioration and personal life issues following this assault. And, he's Christian's like his dad. He signed to Bad Boy Records. He's released music. He's the son of Sean and Kim Porter, who he's also had issues with. But yeah, like father, like son, right? Like it's just, Anyways, there is also stuff, as I said yesterday, that it's making people curious if he's also implicated in the death of Tupac again. Some of the comments saying innocent until proven guilty. I know that technically that's the Constitution, but people aren't really innocent until proven guilty, are they? Because if they were innocent, they'd be able to walk out of prison. You would be held without bond. But what do I know? The next thing I want to share with you guys is this story. Okay, this one's sad. I'm going to warn you. These next few are going to be sad, y'all. Okay? Let me scroll this one up a little bit. Y'all can see it. Okay? See that? 6-year-old boy accidentally shot and killed a 5-year-old. So this happened in Michigan. Okay? The incident took place at the grandparents' house where the two children were playing, and they found a loaded gun in the bedroom. Michigan State Police reported that the authorities were called to the home. This was at the beginning of April, I think April 1st, after a child sustained a gunshot wound, which resulted in that child's death, 5-year-old. Apparently, the 6-year-old boy was holding the gun, and it discharged. It's at this point uncertain if the grandparents or the guardians of the children are going to face charges that are related to this. And the relationship between the two kids confirmed that they are relatives, but it doesn't say whether they're siblings, they're cousins, or what that connection is. That's not been confirmed or at least disclosed at this point in time. Kids are playing around with a gun, and they shoot another kid. That's all. That's all. That's what y'all needed to hear. Y'all needed to see that. Did that happen in Michigan? Sad, guys. It's sad. So the next one, this one's really interesting, I thought. And it's, again, this one's also sad. This one is also sad. I'm sorry. My content sometimes is really depressing. We'll talk about something maybe kind of fun toward the end of this. In fact, we will. We will talk about something fun toward the end of this, for sure. But for this next one, this one is one that is really, police shot a 15-year-old girl who had been kidnapped as she appeared to be surrendering. So here's what's going on in this story. The girl in the picture that you can see here is Savannah Graziano. She's 15 years old, and she was shot after she was kidnapped by her father, Anthony Graziano. Okay? Now, Anthony was accused of killing his wife and had abducted Savannah. This, basically killed his wife, took the daughter. She was considered being kidnapped. This occurred back on September 27th, 2022, by the way. But there's footage that has been released. I don't have the footage to play, but that's why this is in the news right now, even though it's an older case. But apparently recently released audio and video footage from the incident showed Savannah wearing tactical gear, exiting her father's crashed car and approaching police. Now, here's the thing. The police were giving her instructions. She was doing what the police said. A deputy is heard in the video instructing Savannah to walk towards him. She's doing what she says, hands up, walking towards him. They fire on her anyways. A kid, little girl, 15-year-old. 15-year-old's a baby, y'all. They shoot her. And from there, they began to give her CPR, medical aid, and she was taken to the hospital where she was shot dead. Now, her father, Anthony, was also killed in the shootout, and this all occurred a day after he had shot his wife. So basically, the entire family was taken out. This girl lost her mom, and then she got shot, and then her dad. So an entire family taken out. Apparently, but here's where it gets even shittier. Before this internal investigation took place on this stuff, okay? Before the internal investigation took place on this stuff, the sheriff, whose name is Shannon Dykes, suggested that Savannah may have participated in the shootout. That's what she said. But in the recent release of the audio and video, there shows zero evidence of that. It's just a lie. She was complying. She had her hands up. She was doing everything that she was supposed to do. And they shot her. And I feel like you guys need to know that, because we do have incidents where there is excessive police force. And look, I get it. You have a guy that's committed murder. You know that he's dangerous. He's kidnapped his child. You catch up with him. Adrenaline's running high. It's scary. This guy, he's capable of murder. It's scary. So I get it. Emotions are running high. But when you have you know that he took his kid. You know that he took his kid. The kid's out. You see a young girl. She's 15. You can tell a 15-year-old's, a 15-year-old, they're kids, getting out, complying, doing what she's told. Why shoot her? So at this point, they're still the California Department of Justice is still investigating the incident, and the sheriff's department is conducting an internal review on it. And by the way, this girl, not only did they know they had issued an Amber Alert for her. So they knew that he had her. They knew he had taken her. They had issued an Amber Alert, and they still, knowing all that information, when she got out of the car, because what happens? They crashed the car. The dad crashed the car, so she was exiting the vehicle. So they knew that he had the kid with him. So to fatally shot and wound a kid, y'all. Now, I had another one. I have one more story I'm going to show y'all, but before I do, I will tell you that after this one, I had another one. But I don't know. It's like I can't give all these stories back to back. I just can't. I can't do it because it would be terrible. But I'm going to give you this one because this one doesn't involve a death, but it's like, you're like, what? Read that headline, y'all. Y'all, I'm not laughing because it's funny. It's not funny. Okay? It's not funny. Dad who bit newborn daughter. Dad who bit newborn daughter. Let me re-say that. At least 6 times and claimed she was ungrateful. The newborn was ungrateful. He was sentenced. Finally. And I'll tell you what he was sentenced to. But let me give you the background. The picture you see there, it's Gavin Rogers. He's a 26-year-old father from Indiana, and he pled guilty to domestic battery resulting in bodily injury to his newborn daughter. He admitted to biting by the way, she was 2 weeks at the time. He admitted to biting her, leaving teeth marks and bruises on her body, claiming that it was because she was ungrateful. 2 weeks old. 2 weeks. Weeks old. Ungrateful child. Ungrateful child. 2 weeks old. This occurred back in November of 2022, but again, he was just sentenced, which is why it's in the news. And basically, the reason they found out about it in the first place is that Gavin and a woman took the baby to the Indianapolis hospital, where staff noticed mouth-shaped bruises and teeth marks on the baby's shoulders, forearm, stomach, knee, and leg. Now, initially, Gavin said that maybe he kissed her too hard. But the detective on the case, U.S. Attorney, stated that the injuries could only have been caused or inflicted with excessive force and while causing severe pain. The nursing staff at the hospital expressed concerns about even sending the baby home with Rogers, reporting that he called the baby names. 2 weeks old, guys. He called the baby names, making fun of a 2-week-old baby, and appeared frustrated when she cried. And this is what he's doing in front of the hospital staff. That's his good behavior, y'all. That's him being on his best behavior. Anyways. Then the story changed from him kissing too hard. Well, he was intending to give her love bites. But then admitted to nibbling too hard while she was still fully clothed. As a result of this plea agreement, Rogers was sentenced to 3 years in jail, with 1 year executed and 2 years on supervised probation, meaning he's not going to see any jail time. Or he did see some, and now they're calling that year time served, and now, he's out. The rest of it's supervised probation. He was, his charges were neglect of a dependent and battery, and he received credit for the time served in jail and community corrections. So he didn't really get anything. He didn't get anything. He got 3 years, but he didn't get 3 years. I saw that story and I was like, we got to talk about this. We got to talk about this. This is why I write some of the books I write. Because the goal of the books that I write is not me trying to plug myself, but it's to make things better for the next generation, to make it better for them. Indianapolis is kind of a little bit of a problem. So, anyways, I kind of do want to go back to something that we talked about yesterday, which is Riley Strain for a minute. And I think we might talk about Sebastian again, but I want to go back to Riley Strain. His family is in the process of, I think, trying to form a foundation. I'm really excited about that for them. And it did turn out, let me see if I can actually get this picture here. I might be able to get y'all a picture and show you this. Hold on one second if I can find it. I believe that I was sent. Here it is. Let me get this pulled up here. I'm going to show y'all something about Riley Strain. If you guys were on here yesterday, or some of my videos, I can't remember if I said anything yesterday, that the fraternity students, Delta Chi at Mizzou, were going to be doing a candlelit vigil for her. This was yesterday. They gave very little notice of this candlelit vigil. They gave actually almost no notice of this candlelit vigil. They gave like a day to half a day, maybe a day and a half at most. Day and a half to half a day, somewhere in there. We'll call it a day. A day notice. Okay? And in the video, when I talked about it, I said, look, to me, it feels like this is just a publicity stunt. Okay? To me, it feels like it's a publicity stunt. That they've been called out a lot. And They're trying to make themselves look better, save a little bit of face. PR stuff. And I said, if you disagree with me, disagree with me. And some people brought up some very good points that you have to get approval from the university. You have to go through and jump through some hoops. Fine, cool. But they did do this, and I do. This is not about being one-sided. I can have my opinions about Delta Chi and about the fraternity, but I do want to share this with y'all because they did this. They came together and they did this, and I want y'all to see it. This is them at Mizzou yesterday at around 6 o'clock. They came together, and this was a vigil for Riley. They did it right on campus. I'm not familiar with the Mizzou campus. But here's a picture of it. So whether people are saying are true that it takes time to get these things, approved, whatever, what have you, they still did it. They came together, and I'm glad that they did that. I am glad that they did that because whether it was a publicity or stunt or not, they're still honoring his memory. And they came together, and so I will give credit where credit's due. And I probably owe them a TikTok video for this because that's what we do. It's not about our personal opinions. Now, does this change my personal opinions about the fraternity brothers? Does this change my opinion on the fact that they did not search for him at all? No, that doesn't change it at all. So, I don't know, guys. There is a big problem with fraternity culture and Greek life in this country. I actually learned recently that there's a lot of countries that don't even have Greek life and they don't know. And it's a problem. And we're working to try to change that problem. The issue is that this type of stuff, this hazing type of stuff, and I know Riley wasn't hazed, but that has nothing to do with that. I'm thinking of other stories. But the type of culture that fraternities have where people can get injured, people can get hurt, they do nothing about it. It's been that way for 20, 30, 40 plus years, right? This culture needs to change. Kids are getting hurt. Kids are getting dying. The concept of brotherhood that you sell is not brotherhood when the people who you're with don't even go look. They don't even, I don't care what was said to me. They didn't look for him because if they had looked for him, that would have been on camera. They didn't look for him. So I'm not going to buy that unless I see evidence. If there is, then I'll retract that. Fine. But then they went out and partied the next day while their friend was missing. Nobody could get a hold of him. Then they got in their buses and they went home. I will also say, if you didn't hear me say it before, I did get on good confirmation that they were bussed into the funeral. So they did go to the fraternity. The fraternity did go to the funeral, which was good. I'm glad that they did. Anyways, it's just, light came off there. But I'm glad they did this, nevertheless. And I think that this is not going to be the last we see about Riley Strain. I think that, like I said, the family, I believe, is working on a foundation, from my understanding. Once I have more information about that, I'll come share that with y'all. I do, and I've said this in a couple of videos, and I'll say it here on this stream, that I want to do something for Michelle, Riley's mom. This is going to be her first Mother's Day without her son. It was her only son. Okay. And we want to do something for her for Mother's Day. And so I talked to somebody who's close, whose family owns a flower shop, because obviously, we can't, the internet's a crazy place, right? It's a crazy place. So we don't want to give her family's address out. So what we came up with is, for cards or something, we can do a PO box where they're sent to me and I get them to her, which by the way, I do have a PO box 92, Gallatin, Tennessee. It's on my website. It's in the bio on TikTok. If you guys do want to send a card for Riley's mom for Mother's Day, you're welcome to send it there, and I'll make sure that she gets it. But they're also going to do a flower shop that will have, basically, you can say, hey, I'm calling to do this for Michelle or for Riley's mom, and they'll take all the orders and they'll get it out to her. So that's kind of what we're working on. And we're also doing that for Adam Oakes's mom. Adam Oakes is a story. If you haven't seen that interview, please, guys, go watch it. Please go watch it. But he died a couple years ago, and she's not been good since. That was their miracle baby. It was sad. He died in a hazing. Y'all have heard me talk about this if you've been in here. He died in a hazing incident. It was his first night as a Delta Chi, again, Delta Chi pledge at VCU in Virginia. And they targeted him because he was larger. They gave him a lot of alcohol. They basically alcohol poisoned him to death. And while he was dying, they danced and partied all over him for the rest of the night. And nobody really got in trouble for that. So she's not in a good way. And so we want to do something nice for her too. So I'm trying to get that one worked out too. So once I have more, I'll let y'all know on that as well. So, you know, on TikTok, we respond to comments sometimes. In YouTube, we don't. But I don't know. I don't think I should change who I am based on platforms, right? We should respond to people, right? Do we think that? Give me a little feedback on that. I think we should respond to people because then you can have your comments out there on 2 different platforms, one of which saves them. So let's do this one. How are they supposed to stay in Nashville to help search when they didn't have a way to get back to school? They were all busted on a charter bus. You can't cancel or change those. Bama girl, come on. That's bullshit. That's absolute bullshit. Yes, you can. In a situation or a circumstance like this, where you have a missing person, one that's easily verifiable because it's national news, yeah, you can change that. You can change flights. You can still get a hotel and search downtown and figure out another way home. Your friend is missing, possibly dead. You haven't heard from him. And you're like, man, I got to catch this bus. I got to catch this bus. Fuck that kid. I got to catch this bus. Come on. Really? No. That's BS. Your kid was missing and you had a flight to catch. Would you just leave? Your spouse, your sibling, your uncle? These are supposed to be his brothers. These are supposed to be his brothers. You don't think that if they had come together to search, that the online community wouldn't have come together to figure out a way to get those guys home? 100% we would. 100% we would. Come on. Let me tell you what. When I was out there, I'd have been searching right along with them. I'd have gotten to know those guys. I'd have brought them on this thing. And I'm like, y'all need to donate to get these guys home. So, BS. And there's somebody in this chat. I'm going to go back now to one person. We're going to share several of her comments, and this is in regard to Sebastian Rogers. Pop it up. Justin, you and Seth have abused him again, talking about Sebastian, by sharing his trauma all over the damn world. His essay story to tell, not you and Seth. I'm a fan of Seth, but that wasn't okay to share. There's more to this before we respond. Let me show you all of them. People are responding to her in the comments. I'm going to show you these. We're going to call out every one of these. It's not our business. What do we need to know that for? We aren't investigators. He needs to tell the police, not the world. Do you know how embarrassing SA is to victims? Let's victimize him more by telling the world. Plus, we don't need to know. Investigators do. We aren't the cops. I'm going to start with this one, and we'll work our way back up. The only person that SA should be embarrassing for is the person who perpetrated it, not the victim. And you want to know why, MK, victims don't come forward? It's because of this type of a mentality that this is too embarrassing. They shouldn't say anything. They're the victims. Okay? And he's a minor victim. And it happened under the roof of the people who aren't searching for him, under the roof of the people who physically abuse him, hit him with a belt, who mock him on national TV. I don't see you making these comments about Seth sitting there making fun of this kid. Or not Seth, sorry, Chris making fun of this kid. I don't see you making these comments, but you're here. Sebastian was a victim, and I think that it is fully relevant to this investigation because it explains why Chris didn't want him around her kid, because Chris called Sebastian a pedophile. He's 15 years old. A 15-year-old can't be a pedophile. So if Seth has as a thing for 13, 14, 15-year-old girls, that's just liking girls his own age. Now, maybe you, MK, I don't know how old you are, were into kids that age, then that would be that. I'm not saying that you're saying that. I'm just telling you. Okay? Sebastian has nothing to be embarrassed about. Nobody is sitting here being like, oh my God, did you hear Sebastian got abused? Nobody's saying that. Everybody feels for Sebastian. Everybody feels for the parents of that. If I'm a parent, anybody who is a parent, if you heard that information that happened to your kid, I would hope that you would fight that person. You would have it out because that child deserves justice. He deserves justice. And at this point, the only way Sebastian is going to get any type of justice if this stuff starts getting known, because nobody is doing anything else. And it does provide motive. It just provides reasoning. The abuse goes with things that Chris has said in the past. So I'm going to completely disagree with you. You're saying that it's shaming Sebastian? No. Frank, I'd love the name of the boy who did it, because I would have him plastered all over the place. Sebastian's the victim. Hopefully that puts something into perspective. Hopefully you learned something today. It's the reason why people don't come forward. It's the reason why so many sexual assaults aren't ever reported. It's because of victim shaming and victim blaming. And in this new world, in 2024, this shit has got to change, y'all. It has got to change. Kids need to speak up. They need to be believed. Victims need to be believed. Frankly, and I'll take it a step further, by the community knowing this secret, this shame as you call it, community can help him. They can provide support and guidance that he needs. And you know what? I feel like Seth kept this story out of the public's mouth as long as he could. I didn't expect him to drop that. I had no clue he was going to say that. No clue. We had lots of conversations before that interview. I had a plan for that interview, which we did. But then he dropped that completely unexpected. I had him on solo cam, like you're looking at me right now. And you should have seen my face. My jaw was on the floor. I teared up. It was tragic. Because again, I'm a dad. I can't imagine. The fact that Seth isn't in jail for doing something horrific to that person shows that he's a stronger man than I am. You know? But this didn't have to come out if they had found him a week after he left, a few days after he left. But y'all, we are over a month out, and he has not been found. There's no leads according to the police. There's no, we don't know where he is. If you want to go through the rumors, the rumor mill and the speculation that's going on out there, then he could be from here to Alaska, for all we knew. So I don't know where he is, which is why I say grab his flyer off the internet, share it on your social media, because he could be anywhere if he's still alive. And Seth believes that he is. And I hope that he is. And I hope that that's coming from a place of Seth having information enough to believe that he's alive, and not Seth just trying to tell himself that to keep going. I'll share a story with y'all since SA is so shameful and all. All right, I'll share a story with y'all. When I was about 16, 15 years old, I got dropped off the beach. I was in Florida. I was living with my 16, I think I was living with my dad. Or I was visiting. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. And I went to the beach. I was by myself. And while I was in the water, this guy came over, put his hand down my bathing suit and groped me. So you know what I did? I told my dad immediately. I went to the police. It wasn't my shame. What that guy did was wrong, not what I did. It's not nearly the same as what happened to him, but it's not. I'm not shamed for that because I didn't do anything wrong. Sebastian didn't do anything wrong. Anybody in here, because look, I know that the numbers for women and girls to be abused is very, very, very high. None of y'all have done anything wrong, and he didn't either. It is the abusers and the people who perpetuate this stuff, those are the problems. And the more we stay silent, the more that they can offend, you know? And that's what we have to change. Silence allows the stuff to continue going on forever. And we just can't, it's just not, we can't have that. I don't feel shame for it. It's not my fault. I was a kid. I was 16 years old. Sebastian was 7. There's nothing he could have done. It's not his fault. It's not shameful. Anyways. So I'm going to get off that soapbox, but that's how I feel about it. Again, that's the reason I write the books that I write. That's the reason why, this book, not only does it tell you, hey, this is why we're no contact with somebody in a way that's easy, but it teaches them boundaries. So when my daughter has something that she wants to say to me, she comes up and she tells me how she feels. And look, I'm not a perfect parent. None of us are. Seth isn't a perfect parent. But by the optics of all of this, he's a sure as hell's a better parent than Chris and Katie. Because he's out there every day killing himself looking for his kid. And I'll die on that hill. I'll fight anybody on that hill. You want to stand Katie and Chris, go for it. That tells us a lot about you. So that's also why I wrote the next book, Surprises Are Okay, Secrets Are Not. To teach kids to stand up and to say what they need to say to stop this kind of stuff from happening. Because you don't protect the abuser. Somebody's asking about Caleb Harris. There aren't really many updates on Caleb Harris. I was in contact with the family yesterday, and I spoke to them, and there really just isn't anything new. They're frustrated by it. They've got something. Their conversation with the police, they were happy with whatever that was. I just don't know what it is yet. I'm sure they'll tell me in good time. Y'all, it's just... again, this isn't this is how I act on TikTok, y'all, on YouTube. Karen, I'm not going to put your comment up there because I want to be respectful of you. I see your comment, what you say, and you said you feel ashamed. You weren't given you were not validated, basically. Sorry, I cannot talk. Karen, it wasn't your fault. Even if they made you go back into that house, it wasn't your fault. The people that were supposed to protect you failed you. It wasn't your fault. You should feel validated. So don't shame victims, guys. That's the point. Believe victims till you have a reason not to believe them. Look, I'm not going to say that everybody's truthful. Less than 5% of the assaults reported are false. It's very, very small. So the tendency to believe victims till not is what you should do. Look at this guy's ex-wife. We all watched that trial. Can't get this mirrored, so it's whatever, but you see it. Amber Heard sat there and accused him, drug his name through the mud, and she lost in court because it was very clear that when the truth came out that she was lying. So sometimes that does happen, but you believe the victim so you have a reason not to. So that is my lesson for you guys today on all of that. This is Johnny Depp. That is Johnny Depp. For somebody who said that. Oh. Guys, that's what I got for today. That's what I got for today. For y'all. I'll tell you right now, we're getting ready to go out of town. So I don't know how many YouTube lives I'm going to do. I'm going to bring some of my stuff, but we have cabins in Pigeon Forge, and then we were going to go to them. And we're supposed to leave. Tomorrow we're going down for my mother-in-law's 60th birthday. It's a surprise. And Then we were supposed to go to the cabins, but we decided last minute, I don't know how we did this, but instead we're going to Disney. So we're going to leave from where we're at and go south. That being said, I will still be doing videos for sure, but I don't know how much on YouTube we will do. But what I will ask you guys, make sure to hit that follow button whether you're on TikTok. Subscribe if you're on YouTube. I'm trying to grow this out. I will do some fun videos for y'all while we're there because that's just, it's fun. Sometimes it's fun to see behind the scenes when it's not just all doom and gloom and sad stuff, right? The other things I kind of want to share with y'all before all of that. Hopefully I don't think she couldn't. Okay. And I'm not worried about my mother-in-law finding this, and I'll tell you why. I love my mother-in-law, so if she does by chance find it, that's great. But I'm gonna say this. She texted my wife yesterday and said, "Can you tell Justin to call YouTube because I can't find him." I bless her heart. I love her to death. But technology is not her best friend, is all I'm saying. So hopefully she doesn't find out. But I'll try to tell you something behind the scenes. But I do want to share a couple more things before we go. And that's we do have some interviews coming up. I had to move Layla Santinella's interview. Sorry, Jennifer Santinella's on her daughter, Layla Santinello, which if y'all don't know this, it's another Tennessee case, another Tennessee person missing that the police have really not done a whole lot of. Okay. So she needs attention. She's got a pretty good following by trying to share her story on TikTok. She's up to like 176,000 people, which is really good. But her case needs attention. It really does. And that's going to be next Saturday, not like this Saturday. And then originally I had on Thursday, I might have to, I'm going to leave it on Thursday for the moment, but I might end up changing it to Monday. I have Eric Ollis, who is the lead top investigator, top expert on the DB Cooper case. And they're close to solving this very, very infamous case. So we're going to bring him on as well. That should be that one, y'all. I'm geeking out over that one. It's not murder, it's true crime, but it is such a cool case, So that's going to be coming up, and then I'm probably going to have Chris Dingham from Riley Strain on, and then we have a few other people that we've reached out to. So that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. So they just came in. Hold on, I want to give credit for this. I think. Again, I'm still learning YouTube, guys, but I'm pretty sure this is a super chat or something like that. So thank you for that. And apparently the comment is, Chris Proudfoot is now telling everyone he has set a poly up, but wouldn't give the date supposed to be done at the TBI, all per CP. He's responding to DMs. Interesting. Man, he pivots, y'all. He pivots. I don't know if this is true. I'll look into this and find out, so I'll make a video. But, well, hopefully, look, if he takes a polygraph, great. Here's the thing about polygraphs. Polygraphs aren't admissible in court. And so for everybody saying like, oh, why is he not taking, it doesn't matter whether he takes it. It's not admissible. So that's not the point. That is not the point, y'all. The point is that he said that he did it. He told Nancy Grace that he didn't do it. Then he told Nancy Grace that he would do it, and then made up a BS excuse as to why he couldn't do it. So, hopefully it happens, y'all. And if it does, I'll be the first one to say, hey, Chris Proudfoot took a polygraph. Here's the results. I'll be the first one on here telling you all that. Because, again, it's not about my personal bias, which, believe me, there is a lot of. In this case in particular. But if he does it, great. Anyways, you guys have a great rest of the day. I'm going to go pack and do stuff. And I will see you guys a little bit later. Don't forget to hit that follow, guys.